So good afternoon, everyone. Today our topic is technical proposals. Let me just first share the screen with you and then we can move ahead. So let's move ahead. What is a technical proposal? We have seen documents that are written like technical reports, technical description, letters. Now, what's a technical proposal? Now, when a technical proposal is actually an offer that a party makes, by party here we mean one organization makes to another organization, in exchange for some money or for some service that you provide. Usually, proposals are made to offer technical solutions, provide some or try to implement some theoretical project in a practical formation. Usually, it is a way of trying to convince somebody that you have the best possible solution for their potential problems. Okay, that you have the best possible solution for their potential problems. What is the purpose of a technical proposal? The purpose of a technical proposal, first purpose is to the first purpose is to solve a problem. Then there could be a purpose which serves as altering a procedure which is already in place, making a new way of working. Then to find answers to questions, and then to offer advice and training. When somebody wants to train or give advices, you can have a proposal. Okay, we'll be doing this. This is the amount that we charge. This is how we will work, etc. To conduct research on part of both the parties. Here by parties we mean both the organizations. Now there are major two types of research proposals: sales proposals and research proposals. We are going to look into the business aspect. Remember, we are dealing with workplace situations. That's why. So sales or business pertaining proposals, and research or academic pertaining proposals. Solicited and unsolicited, these are the ones where in one of it the problem is looked upon by the researcher and given, and at times the institute would put forward a problem and you are supposed to provide a solution. Now, what are the characteristics of a research proposal? To demonstrate what a person needs and what you can offer. Usually, a proposal is more creative because you are supposed to provide a solution. So, a proposal is more creative than any other form of writing. A proposal is more creative than any other forms of any other types of professional written work. At some places, you are allowed to have a little informality and a personal approach. At certain places or at certain parts of a technical proposal, it is okay to be little informal, and it is fine to have a little personal touch to this professional document. It also has to keep in mind the customer's needs, finance, and prestige. Needs, finance, and prestige of the customer are also supposed to be kept in mind when you are drafting a proposal. As in all other documents related to workplace, the proposal needs to be neat and clean. That is, it needs to be precise, it needs to work or be in a format which is made available by a particular organization. Every organization, certain points are common, certain structure they will provide to you, and then the rest you have to write. You are supposed to use the proposal as per the structure provided, or you may be free to use it as per the requirement. Remember, the proposal is written for the customer and not for you, so you have to keep the customer at the center and write the proposal in such a way and provide the solution to the problem in that way. Remember to give the cost estimate. What would be the estimated cost that the project would concern with? Remember, they are meant for future projects, so you have to keep future in mind and then design your proposal. So we have a reconnecting question, our first reconnector over here. Is the statement true or false? Proposals, when I say it is, we mean to say technical proposal is more creative than any other form of professional writing. You may type your answer in the chat box. Excellent, you are absolutely correct. The statement is true. These are the elements of structure, these are the different parts of technical proposal. Please remember this, it is an important question from the exam point of view. It is an important question from the exam point of view. Now we'll look at each element in a detailed manner. So the prefatory part, title page, is the first portion of the proposal. What does it include? It includes the name of the person or the company to whom the proposal is submitted. Then it will also include the name of the person submitting the proposal, the date for making it more valid, and remember, as I said, every organization will have its own specific format. So whatever format the organization has, that you need to follow over here. From the very beginning, you have to follow the format. Next, you have the letter of transmittal. It is actually like the covering letter or a cover letter as we call it. it actually includes a brief summary, an introduction, and a concluding paragraph. Why do we need to have this? We need to have this because it is the part where if somebody does not want to read the entire proposal, they would go to this part and they can find out the information. Next, the draft contract. Remember, it's a proposal that you are giving, you are proposing. You are saying that this can be a solution. Okay, that is why you have to have a draft or a rough draft contract. When the proposal is accepted, so when the other party or the other company to whom you have written the proposal says, okay, we are fine with it, we agree to whatever you have written and we want you to do our work, at that time this draft contract becomes the finalized contract. Then you have got the table of content. Here you will have to write, it is similar to your index page. It is similar to the index page of a book. Any book you take, there's an index page. It is like the index page of the proposal, right? It actually has the serial number, the order in which information is presented over here. Next, the list of tables and figures. If you are having a certain graphics that you use, that you have to put over here in the list of tables and figures. Then the executive summary. The executive summary is actually like the Pressy writing that we do in school. It is actually 1/3 of the entire proposal. You may also recognize it as a little summary of the entire proposal. The length should range from 100 to 300 words and not more. It ends, this entire executive summary is there to create a positive impact. Executive summary is there to create a positive impact on people, and it should be written in that manner only, in a very subtle manner, so that it creates an impact which is required. Next, we have a reconnecting question. Dash is not a prefatory part. Out of the 4 options given, which is not a prefatory part? Title page, draft of contract, executive summary, or cost estimate? You may type your answers in the chat box. Excellent, quick, and absolutely correct. Cost estimate is not a prefatory part of the proposal. Now let's move on to the body of the proposal, or the main part, the actual part which is required. So it begins with the problem and the need. So what is the problem and why do we need to solve the problem is what is stated over here. Moreover, when you solve the problem, what kind of benefits with the company will come with that proposed research is what is mentioned over here. Next, the background. Remember, every time when you do some work, you always need to have something as a foundation to it, right? So you need to work with things, not only with things, but with the foundation where you can show that okay, this work would be beneficial in this particular way, right? That benefit needs to be shown. That is why this is the background. Background means if similar kind of work has been done somewhere, how did the work benefit that particular organization? How did things work in case of that particular organization is what you are supposed to mention over here. This statements that you make over here would actually ensure the company that whatever decisions they are taking by giving you the contract of doing a particular kind of work is going to be beneficial to their company in all different ways. That is why this has to be mentioned over here. Next, the purpose. Clearly state the why part. We have been talking about the why part a lot whenever we have been talking about uh, things that we do for an organization. So you need to be very clear about the why part. Why are we doing it? So why are it is there? Let's say there's a statement. It has to be in infinitive form. So I have given an example of a statement which says that to provide required training for the newly employed graduates. That's the purpose. That's how you state the purpose. Then the scope and the limitation. Remember, everything cannot be unlimited. You have to have a boundary of your project. So you have to tell the person that this is the boundary and these are the topics that will be covered, and there would be certain topics that would be behind or beyond the boundary. Now, why do you inform it? To inform further, when you have to have good workplace situations and workplace relations, you have to work in a way where people trust you and you can do work with them for longer durations of time. Right? The entire idea behind writing a proposal is to go on for a long duration of work. Okay, long work relationship with people is what the entire idea is. So that is why you need to mention how much your project will cover and how much will be left behind, so that afterwards you don't face a problem with the person and the person does not have to tell you that you did not tell me beforehand. Otherwise, we would not have taken the proposal with you. We would have done it with somebody else, right? So, trust issues do not occur if you mention these things carefully. The scope of trust issues reduces if you mention how much will be covered and how much will be left behind clearly. Alright, that's why you need to mention the scope. The scope and the limitation of the research that you are doing or the solution that you are providing. Next, the project team or the project personnel. See, whenever somebody assigns you with some project work, they want to know who is going to work on it. So who are the people who are the experts? Now here you not only tell them the names of the people, but also include a brief resume of the individual who's going to work on that particular project. Why a brief resume? I want to know if I'm spending X amount of money, who is going to do my work, how expert he or she is in that work. That is why you need to include it. Next, you also need to tell them the procedure. So what do we mean by procedure over here? We mean to say that how will things work, what is your plan of action, for how many days you will work on let's say installation, how many days you will work on programming, wiring, constructing, etc., etc., whatever is applicable in that particular case. Then you also need to tell them the plan of action. How do you plan to tackle the situations? How do you plan to tackle the situations? And also, how do you plan to work on different situations, in which manner? Right? A timeline or a sequence of activities needs to be given. So which activity first, which activity second, which activity would come last, etc. You also need to mention the procedure, the equipments that you will be used, and the facilities that you require there in that particular project. You also need to talk about not only the material required but also the manpower that is required. And you also need to talk about the manpower that is required in that particular project in which you are dealing with. Then this is one of the most important and compulsory part of any project, that is the budget and the cost estimate. Everybody wants to work in a budget, so you have to break it down. Nobody will give you full payment on day one. Okay, you take the money, you do your work. What happens is you have to break it down. So let's say I want to do a project of 50,000 rupees. So in the first 1 week I will require only 10,000. Then next week I will require 5,000. Whatever. So this is just an example which I am citing. So you have to give a budget and a cost estimate so that the person can work and think accordingly and can provide you with the needed finances and funds in that particular breakage of funding that you have given. Then the conclusion. Remember, when you conclude, it means you are completing whatever you had to say. So in conclusions, you cannot include new ideas. What you need to do is you need to complete whatever you have said. So it is actually a summary of whatever has been discussed in the entire proposal. Conclusions are not very lengthy and they are not very creative. They are to the point, they are brief, and they do not introduce any new idea at that point in the proposal. Okay, we have a reconnecting question. We have a reconnecting question which says dash is not an element of the body of the proposal. Cost estimate, introduction, conclusion, letter of transmittal. Which one of the following is not a part of the main body of the proposal? Excellent, Arbaz, you are absolutely correct. Letter of transmittal. It is a part of the prefatory part. Now let's see the last portion in the proposal, that is the supplementary parts, the appendices. This you can find in your textbooks or reference books as well. Towards the end of the reference book you will see it is actually optional to write, and whenever it is cases are complicated and there is doubt or doubt can arise, you have to write the appendices. It is actually materials that you used. Then you have got the list of resources or sources that you have used. References have to be there in a proposal so that you cannot just talk in air. Right now, even if you are doing certain calculations, let's say for example pi or 3.14 is an important part of the calculation, so you have to mention it, right? You cannot do without it. Similarly, whatever you have referred to as a part of material, you have to mention it here in the reference or the resources part. So where did you get the idea from? How did you think about that particular kind of a solution to the problem, etc., is what helps you to decide your referencing part. Okay, so we require to have the references. It is an inevitable part of any kind of research proposal or any kind of proposal that is written. So with this we come to an end of technical research proposal or proposal writing. Do we have any doubts, questions or queries for this topic right now? Fine. I remember having a student asking me for the mid-semester exam. Remember the mid-semester exam, the syllabus is unit number 1. The material for unit number 1 has been uploaded in the e-content as well as the Google folder that has been shared with you. Because it is only unit 1, please go through in details. There will be a lot of detailing over there. Right? For mid-semester, the unit has not changed. It's only unit number 1. So now if we do not have any question and queries, we'll have our quiz for today. Just give me a minute. I'll share the quiz link with you in a minute. You can see the quiz link. You can start attempting your quiz now. Excellent. I can see everybody has completed the quiz. By the time you took the quiz, because there were only 7 people present in the class, I have taken the attendance, so you not worry about the attendance part. Right, I've already taken the attendance for today, and you should not worry about the attendance. And please remember, the friends who are not present, you may tell your friends about the syllabus. You may tell your friends about the syllabus for mid-sem exam, that is unit number 1 only. Okay. So we will end the session over here with this topic completed. We'll end the session over here. If you have any doubts about the mid semester, you may always connect back and ask me. All the material has been uploaded on the Yes, Arbaz.
Ma'am, ma'am, all the material are not I have. Can you
Fine,
please?
I will check, but you may also check the Google shared folder that we have. You have a folder which I have shared, right? You remember that?
Yes, yes, but I have not. I have not.
If you check that folder, unit wise, every PPT has been uploaded. Then also I'll check the e-content as well. But to the best of my knowledge, I have already uploaded unit 1 and whatever we are learning step by step.
Can I? Can you send in my WhatsApp number, ma'am?
I cannot be sending things in WhatsApp. That would not be possible because material is made on computers, right? So sending it would be hard because already 2 places I have already shared, right? Still, you can check your e-content, university e-content portal by the afternoon. I'm very sure I've shared everything, but I'll still check once again. Okay?
Not showing.
Fine, let me do
Hello.
one thing. I'll send you an email. You have given me your institute email ID. Kindly check the email ID by 6 p.m.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
And thank you, class. Have a nice day. We stop over here for today's session. Thank you.